In this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast, we have on my friend, Mr. Craig Collis, who is an investor, a CEO, and an entrepreneur. Craig has multiple eight-figure companies, and he is absolutely crushing it in all areas of life. And in this episode, we talk about his entrepreneurial journey, some of the biggest mistakes he made and what you can learn from him. And he actually gives a massive hookup on his superfoods company, Earth Echo. So if you want to try some of his amazing products, which I really love, you can go to earthechofoods.com and then use code HAPPY, H-A-P-P-Y, to save yourself some money. We're going to be diving into this episode of the Happy Hustle Podcast. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model/actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee-yee. All right, Mr. Craig Collis, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Thank you for having me, Kerry. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Yeah, man. I mean, you are a happy hustler for sure. I mean, you're an investor, you're a CEO, you're an entrepreneur, you're the co-founder of Mindful Health LLC, which was listed at number 48 in the 2018 Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies. You have such a diverse background, but what I really appreciate about you is just your persistent consistency with all of your ventures and how you really continuously show up, even when adversity arises. You're also the CEO. Actually, did you get a new CEO? I know you were looking for one for Earth Echo.
No. So we hired a president.
Okay, president.
Earth Echo. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. President is now, a new hire. However, you're still the CEO of Earth Echo Foods. And fun fact about you, your wife, Danette May, was actually a guest on the Happy Hustle Podcast as well, which I believe this is the first time we've actually had a husband-wife duo both be guests on the show. And we'll link that up in the show notes because, that was an amazing episode. But anyway, man, we got a lot to talk about. I want to get into entrepreneurship, your journey, some of the mistakes you've learned and some of the things that we can learn from your journey. But before we get into all that good stuff, Craig, what's something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, let me just say that I better get more downloads than Danette on her podcast. So we need to work on that.
It's
a little
on.
Competitive. Yeah, a little competitive in the household.
Yeah.
Let's see. So something interesting about me that people wouldn't know. So when I was a teenager, so back in my high school days, I played the guitar quite a bit. But not just the guitar. So a lot of kids, played like rock music or, country or whatever back then. I played classical. So I played, Baroque era music, Bach, Beethoven, Handel.
Wow.
So that was my thing. Yeah, I was kind of nerdy about it and looked to go into music school out of high school. So I was really into that. And then when I graduated high school, I just completely stopped playing and just focused on college. So, but I've picked it up again. So I actually picked up my guitar actually over the holidays and been playing quite a bit since then.
Well, there you go. That's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, Steph, my wife, bought me this guitar behind me. I am not good. I know maybe 2 chords, but it is on my list of things to do. Is really I want to get good enough to romance her with one song at least.
There you
go.
So girls love it, man. If you could put a few chords together, it gets the girls going.
Yeah, exactly, man. Well, speaking about getting going, I want to dive into Earth Echo Foods, your current venture, which is transforming the lives of millions of people worldwide with healing foods and supplements. And you have a really awesome business here that I really appreciate because I love your guys' products, first of all, but you guys have ethical standards with them too. you actually are doing it the right way, with the triple bottom line, the people, the planet, and the profits, at play. And I think that's rare. A lot of people are not doing it that way. So talk to us just a little bit about the genesis of Earth Echo and, just what made you start this company.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So Dad and I started our business together about 10 years ago. So we started off with a health and fitness brand. So created a lot of online programs, online membership sites, ebooks, nutritional information, and so on. And about 5 years in, we realized that we were recommending a lot of other supplements and brands to our customers because they would always ask, hey, what's the best protein powder or collagen? So we would recommend a lot of other brands. We got to a point where it was like, we actually don't know the integrity of these brands. We don't know the ingredients that they're putting into these products. So we said, look, if we're going to do this and if we want to feel good about what we're recommending, we want to know that the products that we recommend are going to be of the highest quality. So that's really where it all started. And we said, let's do something different too. We don't want to just do another protein powder or greens drink or something. So we created our first product, which is Cacao Bliss. So that's still our hero product today. But we said, let's get the best cacao on the market. So we literally searched for months to find cacao that is ceremonial grade, which means it's not highly processed. So most cacao out there, when they process it, they put it through high heat in the manufacturing process, which kills all the phytonutrients and all of the beneficial factors of it. So cacao, interesting, is it actually has about 300 plus phytonutrients. So really healthy, antioxidants, kills free radicals, etc. So we just said, look, we've got to do the best. So we infused the cacao product with other superfoods like turmeric, lucuma, mesquite, to make it a super healthy drink or beverage that you could use like as a coffee alternative, and with the highest quality ingredients that we could find. So we started with that product, and then over the years we've created a number of other superfood-based products as well. All have been the highest grade ingredients that we could find. And to your point earlier about really looking after the planet, we didn't want it to be just another brand that produces product and adds to the waste, adds to the trash that we're seeing in the planet. So we've been on this mission to create the most sustainable packaging available. So, right now we do have all of our products in fully recyclable packaging, and a lot of the material is post-recycled material. So for a food grade product, that's about the best you can get these days. So the next iteration is of course like fully compostable or 100% recyclable. So it's a work in progress, right? So we're really happy with where we are now with the fully recyclable products. And then in addition to that, we said, look, since we're not perfect, we still want to have a way to give back to the planet. So we've worked with other organizations like the National Forest Foundation and Eden Reforestation Projects to plant trees. Yep. So to date, we've planted, I think it's been over 500,000, I think approaching 1 million trees that we've planted now. So we're committed to planting a tree for every product that we sell. So we really want it to be full circle, have this symbiotic relationship with the planet, so that, because we are extracting superfoods and resources from the planet, but we also want to be able to give back to the planet at the same time, while we're also giving consumers the highest quality products available.
Yeah. Wow. And I mean, I love that. The proof is in the pudding too. I know those of you watching on YouTube, you could see Craig, guy's a stud, but for those of you just listening, I'll tell you, he's shredded, and I don't want to reveal your age, but maybe you do if you want. The superfoods work. I mean, the thing is, like, you put healthy products into your body, healthy foods, healthy drinks, and you will actually see the difference. And I think a lot of people take shortcuts here, where they don't maybe read the label, they actually are buying maybe a greens powder, right? Or cacao that has been super processed and doesn't have the phytonutrients, like you said. And then they think it's going to give them the result, but ultimately, the company behind them is cutting corners again. And, it's a shame because a lot of people out there, they're not necessarily taking their health, into their own hands, and they just kind of trust other people. When it comes to, just superfoods in general, and I don't necessarily want to make this like a super health focused podcast, but I feel like we have to like talk about it because health is wealth, right? If we're not, healthy and optimized, we're not going to be able to crush it with our businesses or happy hustle a life that we love. So I do want to kind of ask enough questions that the audience can really, get some tangible, takeaways. When it comes to superfoods, what are like your top 5, like that every diet should include?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I would say at the top of the list, cacao. So it really is. There's more information coming out about cacao now, but it really is one of the top superfoods you can take for the all the benefits that we discussed already. In terms of energy, it also has a chemical called anandamide. So there are only 2 foods naturally occurring on the planet that have anandamide. So it's cacao and truffle mushrooms. And anandamide is known to actually release this blissful feeling in the body. So number one, it's in addition to the health benefits, you're also going to get that blissful feeling. But turmeric is another great one. So for reducing inflammation in the body, especially if you have joint pain or any sort of like exercise-related injuries, turmeric can help out quite a bit as well. Spirulina is another good one that we love. Mesquite is another one. So that's actually from a Native American plant. So the Native American tribes used it quite a bit for health purposes back in the day. And then the chlorella is another great one as well. So chlorella is really going to help with flooding the body with oxygen and really keeping the cells oxygenated and healthy. So those are probably the top 5 superfoods that we have on a daily basis.
Yeah. I mean, I would say I would definitely agree with that list, especially I know you guys have another product, the Island Bliss, right? That has spirulina, chlorella, right? Not just the cacao bliss, but you have an amazing like product line, all high quality stuff. You got the golden superfood bliss, which is the turmeric and that's like the main ingredient with that one, right? And then the chai bliss, which I love mixing that one in my coffee. I know so fun fact just for all the happy hustlers. So Craig came out to one of the Montana Mastermind Epic Camping Adventures and brought with him a bunch of, these awesome products. And we had them around the campfire and, at breakfast. And I remember mixing the cacao with my coffee, or the cacao and the chai. And it was like this smorgasbord of superfood excellence. And I was like, oh my gosh, this has to be a part of my routine. So I would just say, like, you guys got to try these stuff. This is, again, a really important topic when it comes to not only, putting good stuff into your body, but then like actually knowing that the companies that you're purchasing from are doing things the right way. So you're a part of the solution. You're becoming a conscious consumer, voting with your dollar, supporting companies that are sustainable and doing things the right way. I think that's something, again, I like to support B corporations, and companies that have that transparency baked in. And, I love that you guys are planting trees. That's really awesome. I mean, over 500,000 trees, that's amazing. And I am curious to get into a little bit more of the business journey for you and some of the things you learned. I mean, becoming like number 48 on Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies. And I know you guys are, 8-figure plus company and counting. Like, this is no small feat. I think you're top 0.5% of all companies out there when it comes to, success, right? And revenue. And I know that's not easy. What would you say was the greatest mistake that you made with your entrepreneurial journey and the lesson you learned from it?
Yeah, great question. I think it probably goes back, it's been about 13 years now. So prior to getting involved in online marketing, I was heavily involved in real estate investing. So, had my real estate license and was doing a lot of deals from 2001 through 2008. So it built a pretty successful real estate business at that time. And, if everyone remembers, that's back when, the appreciation was through the roof. You couldn't make a mistake, right? You couldn't make a mistake in housing. You could buy a house today for 100,000 and sell it, next week for 120, for example. Those were sort of the glory days, but, I was short-sighted because back then I was younger. I was, definitely cockier, and I felt like, I was king of the world. I felt like I could do no wrong because I've done, close to 100 different real estate deals, and it just like every one was almost a home run. So it was like, this is going to go on forever. So I was really short-sighted. I didn't pay attention to the signals in the market. So, if you watch what was happening to the economy and with the trend that was happening, it would have been obvious back then. Like in retrospect, it would have been obvious that this just is not sustainable, right? This type of growth. So I was over leveraged. I purchased too many properties. I really just was not wise. I was not wise about the business that I was building, and didn't pay attention to the signs that were there. So I ended up losing everything. So lost every property that I owned. Went through foreclosures, went through bankruptcy, had my car repoed. So I literally, I went from like top of the world to bottom of the barrel. It's like I moved into a one-bedroom apartment that I could barely afford and just had to rebuild. So that was the most humbling experience of my life. And but in retrospect, it was a lesson I needed to learn. So I'm a much more conservative and thoughtful investor and business person today as a result of that experience.
Wow. Oh my goodness, man. That is intense. And you're not alone. Like I know a lot of, our mutual friends and people who did over leverage themselves, especially in the heyday, in those early 2000s, especially pre 2008, that all came crashing down. And it is something that, you learn from. You could have let that dictate your future, and just felt sorry for yourself. But here you are, CEO, invested again, running multiple, very successful ventures. And I think that is such a powerful testament to your character and your will. Going back to the persistent consistency that I really admire about you. What do you think if you were going to kind of distill that lesson to maybe someone out there who is just starting their entrepreneurial journey, and you're like, hey, you know what? Like, instead of being short-sighted, do this. Like, what would you say is that tactical piece of advice?
Yeah. Looking back, I really had to start over. So I had to completely reinvent myself. I went into an industry that I knew nothing about. And I educated myself. So I got all the free information that I could find on the internet, because I certainly couldn't afford to hire a coach or a mentor or even purchase courses back then. So I had to find as much free information as I could online. But what kept me going and what the fuel was for me was I was determined to be successful, regardless of what it took. So I made a decision. Like when I walked out of bankruptcy court that day with like not even 2 pennies to rub together, I lost everything. I was determined to make it all back, but 100-fold. And it's really having that mindset and that just making that internal decision that, look, this is the direction that I'm going. I'm going to be successful. I don't know how it's going to look. I know there's going to be a lot of different paths that I can take and a lot of different ups and downs on this journey. But regardless, I'm committed to the vision that I have, and I'm committed to creating success, whatever it takes. So honestly, man, it's having that mental fortitude and making that internal decision that's going to fuel anyone through the entrepreneurial journey. Man, that's a great question. And it's evolved over the years. So back when I went through bankruptcy, my definition of success was drastically different from what it is today. So back then it was, I want to run a 7 or 8 figure business. I want to be able to, buy whatever car I want, live in, the home that I want, and basically just have all the trappings of success that I could think of, right? So that was my definition back then, but it has changed so much since then. So today, my definition of success is, at the heart of it, it is having the freedom to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, but really that encompasses so much, because it's not just monetary at all. That's just one small element of it. Having the freedom to do what you want, with whom you want. So that also means that number one, you're running a successful business, but you're also taking care of your health. So, you're committed to, regular fitness routine, nutrition program. You're committed to your relationships. You're committed to your growth, right? So spiritually, mentally, physically. So really, success for me today, it encompasses everything about the being, right? So it's not just monetary success. It's not just having a successful business. So it's about having a healthy body that allows you to go on trips, to go on adventures, to go on backpacking trips with your buddies, right?
Yeah.
And then taking care of the mental and emotional aspect of the being as well, which for me includes daily meditation. It includes reading inspirational books or listening to inspirational podcasts like yours. So, there's so much more to success to me today. And then, beyond that is, of course, relationships, like healthy relationships with family and with friends and with coworkers and so on. So success really embodies all that for me today.
Yeah. I mean, I love that definition. For me, I'm in the same boat. I always prioritize the 3 freedoms: creative freedom, time freedom, and financial freedom, and just making sure that that's at the forefront. I think a lot of people out there don't define what success is for them, and then they just get someone else's version, and then they and then they're unfulfilled, and they're like, oh, I thought it was this materialistic thing, and kind of like you mentioned, some of those trappings of success early on in your career, that you think that's what's going to bring you that happiness and joy, and oftentimes it's not. It's the meaningful relationships, it's your inner community, it's the experiences, right? That really, I think, is so powerful. Craig, I do want to get into a little bit of your business inner workings when it comes to scaling a company of your size, because I know this is, a hot topic. A lot of the happy hustlers out there, maybe they're solopreneurs, maybe they have a couple of virtual assistants, maybe they have a full-time, smaller team, but you have grown to the capacity, that you're at by aggregating, Rockstar, other, contractors and full-time team members. And you also, you have to go through growing pains, right? So I'm curious, when it comes to scaling a company, if you could distill your journey from where you and Danette started the company to where it's at today, maybe some 3 key scalability, takeaways that every entrepreneur should be aware of who wants to scale.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I look back, when we first started our journey, we had to do everything, right? So naturally in a startup, the founder is employee number 1, and, you do everything from, head chef, bottle washer, janitor. It's like everything, that's entailed in running that business, you have to do from day one. But I actually appreciate that because it's an opportunity to learn the business and to really learn the inner workings of what it takes for the business to operate. So I do think that you have to have that fundamental knowledge and experience in working in multiple departments, right? So maybe you're in HR, right? You're in accounting, you're in marketing, right? You're in operations, you're in customer support. You've got to learn all that so that you understand who you want to hire. Because in order to scale, you're going to have to be able to manage these individuals. You have to be able to hold them accountable, to measure the results that they're generating. And, you can really only do that, from my perspective, if you have experience in those various departments. So for me early on, it was very important that I understood the inner workings of the business so that I knew who to hire. And I think very early on, you'll identify what your strengths are. You'll identify what brings you joy, what you're really best at, and then you can focus on that aspect and then hire for the other areas that you're either not good at or don't enjoy doing. So, for us early on, one of the biggest time sucks was customer support. So we were spending half our day responding to customers, and the other half was on the high level strategy and working on marketing and operations. And it's like, the highest leverage activities are going to be those where you have your strengths, which of course would be marketing from my perspective. So the first hire that we made was customer support so that we could free ourselves to be creative, so that we could create the content, create the marketing plans and so on. And then from there, it's really identifying other areas of the business that you need as you do start to scale. So for us, building out the customer support department was the first. So we built that out. And then another one that a lot of people don't really think of is hiring a personal assistant. If you hire someone part-time to help you out, because look, if you're a business owner and you're running a startup, you're likely managing the household as well. So you're the one that's like cooking the dinner and doing the laundry and cleaning the house. You have to look at where you're going to generate the most income and what you can hire out. So for example, maybe you can hire a housekeeper for $100 a week and they clean your house, right? So that's an extra, let's call it 4 hours of time that you can devote to focusing on your business. So there are little hacks like that I wish I had done early on that would have enabled me to spend more time really focusing on building the business. But as you do scale up, I will say that there's a book, I think it might even be Scaling Up, but there's a saying that it's not about how, it's about who. So it's not how you do something, it's not how you execute the marketing campaign or how you design the operations and the logistics of the supply chain and so on. It's like, who could I hire? Who has expertise in that area that can run that for me? So I don't really have to think about that. So that's been a big one for us as well, has been hiring people that have expertise in specific areas and really putting trust in them, putting trust in the individual to scale the operation for you so that you're not the one that's in there doing it day to day.
Whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure-free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions, guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely who, not necessarily how, when you're going to scale. I think that's such a valuable takeaway. And, there is going to be a time where we wear all the hats. You're going to be editing your website. You're going to be doing your social media. You're going to be cleaning your house. You're going to be making your food. But hopefully the goal, I know Dan Martell, we just had him on the podcast. He talked about buying back your time and really knowing your numbers so that you can leverage your time most effectively. I'm curious for you guys, you can't scale without having product market fit, right? You need to know that your product is going to, it's going to have some demand, right? You're going to iterate, and I know you guys have iterated and made it better and continue, but how do you go about testing a new product, and how would you recommend the happy hustlers out there go about it in the most cost-effective way?
Yeah, great question. It's since we do have a few different brands. The first brand that we did start was the online fitness and nutrition brand. So that was all digital products that we created. So it's much easier to test from that standpoint. So 10 years ago, we would create a digital offer like a recipe book. It was digital, right? So very easy to test an offer like that. It becomes much more difficult when you're dealing with physical goods, because now you're dealing with inventory that you have to purchase and warehouse and deal with fulfillment. So there are a lot more complexities when you are selling physical products. So, I would say that if you're going to be in a business like ours, if you're doing supplements or superfoods or any sort of consumable product, if you can test with the least amount of commitment possible, especially early on, it's going to serve you very well. So your COGS are going to be a lot higher. You're going to pay a lot more for it because you're not buying in bulk. You're not buying 10,000 units. You might be buying 200 or 300 units, right?
Yep.
So there are companies out there that you can partner with that'll help you with, for example, again, if you're in the supplement space, they'll help you with formulation. They'll help you with the packaging, with the labeling on a very small scale. So you literally could do a couple hundred units and say, hey, let's just test this so that we can invest as little as possible to see if we do have product market fit. The other alternative to that is there are also companies out there that will do drop shipping or on demand rather. So they'll do on demand for you so that they're not creating the hundreds of units of inventory. They're creating the product as the order comes in. So you're going to pay more for that one as well. But again, in that scenario, you're not investing in the inventory and potentially sitting on product that you can't sell. So, that's one area where, if I could do it over again, I would go back and deploy that strategy. Yeah. Because, we had a little more hubris in our business where, we would say, oh, this is going to sell guaranteed. And we would invest in 20,000 units of a product. And, it's come back to bite us at times because, we had overconfidence that, hey, because these products work so well, we believe that these products are gonna have the same impact in the marketplace, and it's just not the case. So I've definitely made mistakes along the way. I've overinvested. I've mistimed the market. COVID completely threw a wrench in our plans as well. So I would say early on, if you can, invest as little as possible to test the products before you make the massive investments in the inventory.
Yeah, I love that too, man. Test, don't guess. Really start small and just make sure that there is that demand. And we all make mistakes. We all, get really stoked about our products, and then we realize actually maybe the market says otherwise, and you got to pivot, so that happens, man. I do want to just get into this this portion of your life, which is your relationships. I think, for me, the people I really admire are the people who are holistically happy hustling, not just having a successful business, not just having a successful marriage, but both. And, great relationship with their friends and their family members, their kids, they're giving back to their community. They have, a practice of some type of, connection to a higher power. I look at someone like you, and I know you have all those things. Now, you're not perfect. No one is, right? We all have our shit, right? For lack of a better term. But I know from you, man, like even when we were hiking down from the Montana Mastermind, we had a great chat about how you balance your personal life and your professional life. And I would feel remiss if we didn't go there a little bit in this interview. So I know you work directly with Danette, both in your business and then, you guys are married and then you raise kids together. And it's like, that is a very difficult dynamic for most people, but you both have seemed to figure it out. And I'm curious, what would you say has been the foundation of that relationship, both personally and professionally? If the happy hustlers are out there and they want to work with their spouse, or they're thinking about, potentially going into business or bringing them onto their team, what would you say has made that dynamic work effectively?
Yeah. Great question. I have to go back to the early days when we first started our business together. So we started our business and got married about the same time. So wow. About 10 years. Yeah. So going into a new marriage, raising kids, because Danette has 2 kids from a previous marriage. So, instant family, and then starting this new business together. So a little bit of stress back then, as you can imagine. But what I discovered was that Danette and I are 2 very different people in terms of how we're wired. So I'm much more like a linear thinker. I'm structured. I am very direct and really focused on like achieving goals and achieving, the projects that I'm working on. So I want to get them done as fast as possible, and I just hammer through them. Danette is much more of a creative, so she likes to work when she's inspired. And I tried to fit her in my box early on, so like try to take a creative and implement structure in their life. It's not going to work. Right. So we definitely banged heads early on, and we had our struggles. So we literally got to a point where we just sat down and said, look, it's either going to be the business or the marriage, but we're not going to survive neither. So we're not going to be able to do both together. So I made a decision at that point, and I recognized what I was doing. And I just said, you know what? I don't care. I don't care what you do from now on. I'm going to take this on. I'm going to take responsibility and say, I'm going to focus and stay in my lane. I'm going to work on the business in the ways that I know how. And you can do whatever the hell it is that you want. So if you want to, it's like, look, if you want to film videos at 10 p.m. at night because that's when you have inspiration, or if you want to write an article like at 3, it's like, I'm not going to tell you what to do anymore. And really just making that it was a mental shift. I had to make a mental shift, and I just said, I'm literally not going to have any expectations of her, and I'm not going to try to fit her into my box anymore. And it completely flipped our relationship. So it was, we had a great personal relationship from that point forward, because everything is intertwined. Business and personal are intertwined. So we figured out the business piece, and then lo and behold, the business starts doing way better because she's inspired, right? She's creating, amazing content, and I'm focusing on what I know, which is marketing and business. And the business just took off when I made that mental shift. So So yeah, if I could point to one thing that was the biggest difference maker in the dynamic of our relationship, it was that I had to take that responsibility and take ownership of really how I view things, and having respect for her and respect for the way that she's wired.
Yeah. I mean, that's powerful. I think, for me, I worked with my wife, Steph. We had a business together, and we made that same, we had that same conversation. It's either the relationship or the business, and we chose the relationship. And, I think, again, did very similar things that you did. I was trying to fit her in my box, and trying to create structure and work when I work. And I think you have to have autonomy in your roles if you are going to go down that venture together. And you really need to make sure that you guys respect each other. And I also think you need to set barriers where you are working certain hours and then you're off and you're not allowed to talk about business. I think that's also important too, because then you can just constantly be talking about business. That's powerful, man. I do want to ask you, your life right now, when it comes to creating that balance. I mean, I don't love the term work-life balance, because I think it's all, like you said, intertwined, but how do you intentionally create that balance for yourself?
Yeah. So I really am committed to success in every aspect, like we discussed. So what I've started doing is I will block out my calendar for times during the day when I'm going to focus on me. So for example, I'll wake up in the morning, and I've got my morning routine of like yoga and like sauna and cold plunge and meditation. So it's like my work day doesn't start until I take care of myself physically and mentally. And then I'll carve time out, during the day for a workout, or to get out in nature, to go for a hike or to go for a bike ride. So, because if you don't do that, your calendar will get filled up with everything else that you have to do, right? Everything else that's on your to-do list in the business. So I blocked out time. I blocked out time on my calendar, and it's like there's no one can schedule a meeting over that. I'm not going to do any work during that time. I don't know if there may be a fire or something that I have to put out occasionally, but I dedicate time every day to focusing on my mental, physical, and spiritual health and well-being. And then also, from the relationship standpoint, I also schedule in time with Danette as well.
Yeah.
So we have weekly dates. So I put that in my calendar. So I'll block out time on our calendar. So it might be, going out to dinner or going out to lunch or whatever that looks like. But I make a commitment that we have a weekly date to feed our relationship, to feed our personal relationship. And to your point, so about compartmentalizing the times of day when you can have conversations about work or about personal, we have an agreement that, look, when we're on a date, it's only personal. We can't talk about business.
Nice.
So that topic is off the table. And then another thing that we started doing recently is we've started doing monthly overnight dates as well. So, and it doesn't have to be anything big. It's not like we're flying to New York, or occasionally we might do something like that. But maybe we drive up to Vail for the night and have a nice dinner and ski together for a half day, and spend some like personal time together. So making those commitments means the world to women. Like I say, it means the world to Danette, but I think a lot of women are wired the same. But so guys, if you will make a commitment and like schedule a date and like ask your wife out on a date, it's like, hey, can I take you out on a date this Friday? Means that world to them, and like puts so much like emotional deposits in your bank account when you can do things like that.
Man, crush that. That is a great lesson. Have those commitments, schedule those different things for yourself and your relationship. And, we talk about the 10 alignments of being a happy hustler. Like, that is why we have those scheduled. We talk about it on the show, but I really love that you even break it down further, where you have, this stuff for yourself, for your relationship, for your business, and then you have them compartmentalized. That's amazing, man. I do want to ask you a couple of the happy hustle hacks. These are questions in a couple different disciplines. Then we'll do a quick rapid fire round and wrap this interview up. So basically, this is a tip, a tool, a tactic, something that you do that's a little unique in health. Now, I know we talked a lot about health, but do you have something here that we could deem a happy hustle hack?
Oh man, I am a believer in sleep, right? So, and I know that people have their different different sleep habits and sleep types, but what I found is if I prioritize sleep, it impacts everything, right? The next day. So my energy for a workout, my mental capacity at work, my enjoyment of the day. So I've really learned to make sleep a top priority, which means doing the pre-bed routine, which is like putting down the devices and maybe reading a book before bed, but also getting to bed at a time that works for me. So it's figuring out your chronotype and figuring out, because for me it's like I'm turning into an old man. I like to be in bed by 9. So,
Same.
but I get up early.
Yeah.
But it's like if I figured out that if I go to bed early, I'm naturally going to wake up earlier. So I'll wake up at like 5:30, and I feel great that I've got the entire day that I can tackle. So for me, honestly, I prioritize sleep so much. That's probably my number one sleep hack, or number one hack in terms of health.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of people are actually chronically deprived of sleep. Like they're not getting enough, and maybe they're not even getting enough REM sleep, like real quality sleep. So I think that's awesome that you mentioned that and prioritize it. I do want to ask you about money. Money is a form of stored value, right? It's energy. It makes us more of who we are, right? But I know you've made a bunch. I know you've lost a bunch. What would you say is a happy hustle hack when it comes to money? Maybe something that you do to save or invest or spend wisely that you could share with the happy hustlers.
Yeah. So these days I'm really focused on diversification. I like to, and this goes back to when I lost a bunch of money because I was so heavily invested in one asset class, which is real estate. I didn't have anything else. I mean, that's literally all that I was invested in. I was counting on that. So today I really take a perspective of diversifying the portfolio. So that's across multiple asset classes, including real estate, stocks, fixed income, crypto. There are different funds that I'm involved in as well. So, because what I will say, art's another big one that I really like, because if one asset class goes down, like in crypto, for example, crypto represented probably 10% of our portfolio, got completely killed last year, right? And I was tied in with an exchange. It was linked with FTX, so it went completely down the tubes. But it didn't stress me out because I wasn't fully invested in crypto. I had so many other asset classes that I was invested in. And it's like, what? One asset class goes down, the other 10 are going to go up. So diversification is key for accumulating long-term wealth and really mitigating the risk that you're going to have across the multiple asset classes.
Yeah, and I think it's great for peace of mind, like you said, just having the diversification, just in case something does go down. You know that you don't have all your eggs in one basket. Cliche saying, but it's true. So really great takeaway there. Let's talk about spirituality. I know you're big into meditation and you do breath work and all sorts of practices, but I'm curious, when it comes to connecting to a higher power, do you have a happy hustle hack that you do that's a little unique here in this arena that you could share?
Yeah, I do have a daily meditation practice. So I'll do at least 15 to 20 minutes every morning. That's how I have to start my day. But for me, nature is my direct connection. So that's my connection to source. So I do make a point to get out in nature every day as well. So for example, I'll take my dog for a hike every morning, and we'll go to the top of the mountain and watch the sunrise. And when you're up there alone and it's just you and nature, and you're witnessing the sunrise every morning, it's like you can't help but feel that higher power, and feel that connection to source. So I can meditate in the house or in the office, but for me it's like really being out in nature and just being quiet and just being aware of your surroundings. That's where I get the greatest connection.
Hey man, you and me both, man. I love just getting outside and connected to a higher power. That's where the magic happens for sure. So awesome, man. Well, I want to put you through the rapid fire round, but before I do, I know people are going to be like, okay, we talked about these superfoods. Like I know I want to try some. Where can people go to get some of these amazing superfoods that you guys create?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is the best place to find them. So the website is earthechofoods.com, and Echo is spelled so it's ECHO. So earthechofoods.com.
Amazing. Yeah. And Craig was kind enough to set up a promo code for all the happy hustlers out there. So if you want to try these and get the hookup, you can use code HAPPY, HAPPY, store-wide, correct? To like anything anything you guys want on Earth Echo, you get 15% off, which is quite a generous discount. And I got to say, this will pay dividends to your overall performance. I know I feel so much better when I take your little packets that I have, in my morning greens. The Island Bliss is like my go-to. So this is definitely something I recommend, guys. And, I don't recommend things that I don't take myself. And this is something that I definitely do take and I stand by, and I know Craig does. So check it out, earthechofoods.com, and then use code HAPPY to save. Now, Craig, I do want to put you through the rapid fire round that we'll wrap this interview up. So this is where I just ask you random things and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Favorite food? Go.
Spaghetti.
Favorite movie?
Matrix.
Favorite book?
The Surrender Experiment.
Nice. Favorite workout?
It's back workouts. I love doing heavy back workouts.
Nice. What's your spirit animal?
Buffalo.
Oh, right on. Best business advice?
Buy low, sell high.
3 things you're most grateful for?
Oh gosh. Health, family, and friends.
And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what does that billboard read?
Oh man, that's good. I always have to go back to Bob Marley. I think he's one of the greatest philosophers of our time. Don't worry, be happy.
Crushed that rapid fire round, Craig. Man, brother, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your superfoods with the world, and just that smile, that energy, man. I know we've brought out a lot in the backcountry, and I look forward to always hanging with you, at different events and masterminding. And it's just been great to just, watch you and your success and be around Danette and your family. And I look at you guys as an inspiration and true happy hustlers. So thank you for sharing your gifts with us today, man.
Thank you, brother. Always a pleasure. And thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Last question before we sign off. I ask all my guests this. Craig, actually, before I do want to ask, do you have any personal links, like anywhere where people can follow you directly? Or is there any social media channels that you're more active, or is...
I'm not super active on social media. I am on Instagram and LinkedIn. So those are probably the 2 channels where I'm most active. So I think it's the handle on Instagram is, I think it's the Craig Collins, and LinkedIn I think is the same. Okay, awesome. Yeah, we'll link those up as well. But a lot of happy hustlers like to follow and the man or woman behind the company is always important to just follow and learn from. So I love that. All right, Craig. Final question: what does happy hustling mean to you? Oh man, happy hustling to me means that we are focused on every aspect of life that brings us more joy, more fulfillment. So, and in that is having a purpose, right? Having a purpose, and in my mind, it's if that purpose can do good for humanity or for the planet, I don't think there's any greater calling or any greater fulfillment that one can achieve in life, at least from my perspective, is that to me is the definition of happy hustling.
Oh, I love that. Craig Collins, y'all. Thank you for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love.